Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Blitzkrieg, our own strategic affairs show. Today we have a very special debate. I'm sure you've heard that there was recently a flight from Srinagar to Sharjah and back. Now, Pakistan suddenly decided to withdraw permission, said India could not use its airspace. We have with us Major General Dhruv Katoch, who's Director of the India Foundation. Sir, a very warm welcome to you. And we have Faisal Rahman, Senior Journalist and Political Analyst from Islamabad. Faisal Rahman, a very warm welcome to you as well.
Thank you very much, Guru.
Now, my first question is to Faisal Rahman. Faisal, Kashmir has been the cornerstone of Pakistan's national security policy and its foreign policy. I don't remember a Pakistani premier going abroad and not mentioning Kashmir, whether it's in talk with the leaders of the United States of America, Europe, any of the Muslim countries, or any global platform. Having said that, I've also heard Kashmir banega Pakistan, Kashmiriyon se nata kya la ilaha illallah. Now, this flight, which was flying pretty much from Srinagar to Sharjah and back, this flight was for Kashmiris. It's not like somebody from Delhi, maybe General Katoch or myself, we would have gone to Srinagar and taken a flight to Sharjah. No, it was for Kashmiris. If this flight was for the welfare of Kashmiris, why was it stopped by Pakistan? What is the logic?
Well, interestingly, as we all know that even when Narendra Modi, your Prime Minister, was traveling to Italy and later to Glasgow, we allowed, and on the way back we allowed. That isn't a problem. We always try our level best to make sure that we have got better relationships with India. But having said that, since we do not recognize the area of illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and because it's a disputed territory, it's been there for the last 75 years. This is in the United Nations, and we believe that it will be settled through the resolutions of the United Nations and according to the wishes of the people of Kashmir. So when you say that according to the wishes of the Kashmiris, I would say this flight is, because, if you remember, this Srinagar Sharjah flight never had a very good, numbers in terms of the customers or the passengers flying from point A to point B. Now, since it's going to take around 40-45 minutes extra when you go via Rajasthan and then you take towards UAE. But having said that, since Pakistan do not believe, and this was basically another drama by Amit Shah to make sure that the Kashmiri people are well taken care of, but that is not the case in reality. The reality is very different. And we have a very firm stance, and this is actually a matter which the Civil Aviation Authority, or the CAA as we call it, should be looking into. As far as foreign policy is concerned, we are very clear that we'll try to facilitate whatever we can do within our given capacity. But having said that, there was a certain issue. We do not recognize the status of Kashmir with India, and if a flight is being operated from there, we have got all the legitimate rights to put a check on that.
Absolutely. And Faisal Rahman, I do not doubt that for 1 minute. Pakistan's airspace is Pakistan's airspace, and as far as legitimate right, because it goes not just over POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, it goes over other parts, and as far as other parts are concerned, yes, there is no doubt. Now, I'll go to General Dhruv Katoch. Sir, diplomacy is all about quid pro quo. You give some, you take some. That is the essence of diplomacy. Now, my question to you is, sir, that Faisal Rahman says Pakistan is very clear, Kashmir is disputed territory, there is no way we can allow flights to take off. And as far as the flights having less numbers, that is a separate case. That is for the airline to deal with. If the airline is happy to run a flight for 10 years, absolutely empty, that is the airline's problem. But yes, Pakistan, if it goes over Pakistani airspace, I'm not talking about POK, I'm talking about other parts of Pakistan, it is well within Pakistan's sovereign rights. Now, I have no dispute with that. So my question to you is, a huge bulk of medicines, a lion's share of medicines go from India to Pakistan, especially generic drugs. You see? And it is India's legitimate right to say that, sorry, we are not sending you medicines. Yeah, you sort it out yourself with China, your best friend. Why should we send you medicines? Why isn't there a quid pro quo, sir?
Thank you, Gaurav. Gaurav, before I get on to why there is no quid pro quo, let me just get a few facts right of what the Pakistani panelist has just stated. When he speaks about the UN resolution, please remember the UN resolution was very clear that all Pakistani forces have to vacate occupied territories. So it really, if at that point of time we had to carry out, if the people had to vote for which way they wish to go, it implied that every single Pakistani soldier should have left Gilgit-Baltistan and Mirpur Muzaffarabad. They didn't do so. We've had few conflicts, and now we have got a line of control. I think when we come to this particular problem, the only issue, in my view, is the illegal occupation by Pakistan of Gilgit-Baltistan and Mirpur Muzaffarabad. And in the interest of peaceful relations between the two countries, it would be advisable that Pakistan vacate those territories and gives it back to India as per the law. One. Now, the second point is as far as the overflight is concerned. Now, I'm quite okay with the fact that Pakistan says don't use our airspace. But I think when we talk about not use of airspace, in my view, there should be a quid pro quo in everything. Now, India has been very soft, either on trade relations or in every single aspect. India has been giving and Pakistan has been receiving, and there has been no quid pro quo. So I think it's time that we changed our policy. I personally I'm advocating a totally different line. I seize all trade relations, seize all contact, close your embassies as far as India and Pakistan is concerned. Seize 100%. No sports, no culture, no nothing. We don't want a single Pakistani coming our side. Then close your airspace. The Kashmiris can come, they will go via Gujarat onto Sharjah. That is not much of a problem, whether the aircraft goes empty or it goes full. So we'll bear that cost. But the question is, can Pakistan bear the cost? And I think the time has come to declare Pakistan a terrorist state and to seize all relations with it. They wanted a separate country, they've got it, let them live there.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you for your comments. I'll go back to Faisal Rahman. Faisal Rahman, you mentioned about Kashmir being disputed. You think it's a dispute? Fine. It's part of the United Nations resolutions. Fine. We agree to that. We have no quarrel there. Now, there was this issue of India sending wheat to Afghanistan. We are not making any money out of it. We wanted to help the Afghans, right? Because like Imran Khan himself has gone to all and sundry on global stages and said that there is a humanitarian crisis taking place in Afghanistan. We want to send wheat to Afghanistan by road because that is the shortest method of sending wheat to Afghanistan. Now, this is a country for which Imran Khan has been very aggressively advocating, and B, this is a brother Islamic country that you want everybody to recognize and sort of help. Now, we are helping. All we are saying is that we don't want 1 rupee from Afghanistan. We are not interested in trade. We are not interested in making a profit. We just want to send wheat from India to Afghanistan. Why is Pakistan holding that up? Kashmir is one thing, we have fought wars over Kashmir and there is a line of control and there is a history. But what about Afghanistan? Why hold up wheat to Afghanistan?
One thing is called a gesture to gain that kind of a popularity. The second is the overall ideology behind it and perhaps the narrative, I would say. Now, the interesting part is that, since India has really injected a lot of money in Chabahar, so one option is that use that route. I mean, if India is really thinking of the well-being of the people of Afghanistan, because we believe that India is playing a very negative role, and perhaps that is one of the reasons in the region, and in particular in Afghanistan, that our national security advisor is not going to attend the meeting that is being held of the national security advisors in Delhi, in India. I think wheat is less important than the life of the people who are being killed in these bomb blasts and terrorist activities sponsored by the Indians out there in Afghanistan, just to make sure that the Taliban regime should not stand on their feet and should be in constant problems. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, we believe that suits us, because peace in Afghanistan directly means peace in Pakistan. So how could we relate that the Indians are so good and perhaps really want that the current regime should, be successful and the people should get all sort of support? Well, I think China, Russia, Pakistan, Iran, perhaps all the neighboring countries, or the countries like Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, the neighboring bordering northern countries, they can always help Afghanistan. It doesn't have that huge population. It's like 4 crore or 40 million or something around that. So I think Pakistan can look after the affairs in Afghanistan, the other countries. But as far as India is concerned, I mean, if they really want to give a goodwill gesture, they can always do that. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, I mean, no airspace available for Indians, no route as far as road is concerned. because we tried that. We were betrayed not once, not twice, 10, 20 times. This has happened. The bus service starts, it stops. The rail service starts, it stops. Kartarpur starts, it stops. It's not from our side, it's from your side. So now the problem is that once there is an issue, it has to be sorted out first at the Foreign Office level. Later on, I think if there is that kind of a will and commitment from the Indians that they will work together along with Pakistanis to look after the affairs of the Afghan people. We will be ready for that. But as far as India is concerned, trying to just get into the system because they were ousted, I mean, that becomes a problem, because once they will be in, they will do what exactly they've been doing for the last almost 20 years in Afghanistan.
Faisal Rahman said that in India will carry out these attacks in Afghanistan, and India has been doing so even now. The Taliban, I mean, Pakistanis are more Taliban than the Taliban itself. The Taliban has never once made a statement like this. The Taliban has never said that India is doing anything in Afghanistan. The Taliban has never once said that the bloodshed inside Afghanistan is it's India's doing. It's only Pakistan which keeps on saying so 24/7. That is number one. So number two, you see, they said that we used our consulates inside Afghanistan. We used our embassies inside Afghanistan to launch attacks on Pakistan. That is what the Pakistanis have been saying. But sir, after 15th of August, there are no consulates, there are no embassies. Yet, the attacks have only intensified, and the Afghan government, while the Taliban government, while they have said all the good things that we will not allow our soil to be used, etc., etc., fact of the matter is that the Taliban and the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan are one. This is exactly what General Qamar Javed Bajwa said in a parliamentary briefing. This is exactly what he said. These organizations are two sides of the same coin. And now India is not there. I mean, for how long can Pakistan blame India? India is not there any longer. And yet, these attacks take place, they target Pakistani soldiers. Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which is a terror organization, it targets and kills Pakistani soldiers, and most of these attacks, they emanate from Afghanistan. You see, so and Taliban is not saying anything that India is doing it. No other country in the world is saying it, except for Pakistan, who seem to have this India bugbear.
There was a legally elected government there, and we have given over $3 billion in aid to build roads, to build hospitals, to even build the parliament. So all the aid, the only country which has given aid which is non-military is India. India hasn't given any military aid to the to the Afghanistan government. All that aid has come from the United States. That is point one. The second point is, as far as the blasts which have taken place post 15th August, now there is a direct confrontation in Afghanistan between the Taliban, which is in power, and the Islamic State. Now the reasons are very clear, because there are so long as they were fighting the Americans, they were fighting on the same side. But now as the Americans have left Afghanistan, there is a conflict between these two main rival power centers. And as far as the Islamic State is concerned, they don't want the Afghan Taliban government to dilute its ideology. And the problem with the Afghan government as of now is, if they don't dilute their ideology, they are not going to get foreign aid. So they are not going to dilute their ideology, and if they do, the Islamic State will get after them. So the Islamic State is embedded. There are about 2,000 Islamic State fighters as of now within Afghanistan, and there is no way in which the Islamic State will seek support from India. They have never done it in the past, and I think they will never do so in the future. It is a totally radical organization which has got a very fixed ideology. That is the second point. The third point is, as far as India is concerned, we are still prepared to help Afghanistan. But I think our concerns are also slightly different. We don't want to give the aid directly to the Taliban. It has to go through some UN agency. Now, if it goes to some UN agency and they carry out the further distribution, I think that should be all right with India. But to give the aid directly to the Afghan government, the Taliban will use it for its own purposes. It will not go to the population centers which require this aid the most. So I think, in my view, India also needs to review how it is going to calibrate its aid, which it is in a position to give. For Afghanistan, the Chinese are not going to give any money. They have committed about a few $1 million, I think 28, 25 or 35 odd $1 million, which is chicken feed. You will not find the Russians coming into support, and neither will you find the Iranians. On the contrary, the Russians are very concerned now onto the activities of terrorist organizations within Afghanistan, and so are the Iranians. So you will find a different sort of combination now coming up, by which the Russians and the Iranians will be getting together to see how they can stop terrorism from emanating from Afghanistan. Within Afghanistan, they will still receive support from China and Pakistan.
Absolutely, sir. Right. So, Faisal Rahman, you heard General Katoch and what he had to say. Now, my question to you is, even in the recent agitation in which, unfortunately, and my heart goes out to the families of the policemen who were killed in Lahore, who lost their lives in the line of duty. Pakistani cabinet ministers were saying that isme Bharat ka haath hai. Now, I don't understand where this comes from. I mean, this is an organization which Imran Khan was happy to support. I'm talking about Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan. This is an organization that Sheikh Rashid was very happy to support. And I have videos, I have shown that video on air in which Sheikh Rashid says that आग लग जाएगी, खून बह जाएगा, पता नहीं क्या क्या हो जाएगा, लबैक वाले आएंगे और ये कर देंगे, वो कर देंगे. So when Nawaz Sharif was in the seat of power, and when the Pakistan establishment wanted to dislodge Nawaz Sharif, Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan was a useful tool. I'm not saying it was the only tool, it was amongst the various tools that were used on ground. But today, when it's against Imran Khan, suddenly the Tehreek-e-Labbaik become Indian agents. Isn't that a little convenient, Faisal Rahman?
Well, there were a couple of statements primarily from two of the ministers. One was the information minister and one was the interior minister. One was Fawad Chaudhry, the other one was Sheikh Rashid regarding this. TLP, Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, in fact, contested in the elections, and they ended up getting around 2.5 million votes. And that's a big number when it comes to it. Nobody had ever heard, but these were the people primarily from the right side. The interesting part is that Pakistan really wants that nobody should get hurt. Primarily, the best way forward is to sit down, negotiate, and move on. The idea was that Mr. Khadim Hussain Rizvi, he was under arrest, and they wanted him to be released. And later on, they came out, because mostly these people are from not the super educated class or otherwise. These are the people who are simple, who follow a certain, ideology. And perhaps within the ranks of these people, there could have been a possibility that certain non-state actors or somebody else could have used them. Perhaps because we have seen similar people, because you can't identify each and every one in a mob, especially when your face is covered. So they were firing straight, right straight onto the police, and a lot of people got injured from both the sides. I'll be very straightforward in that. And as far as your question is concerned, that during one government they were considered as very popular, and now they're considered as terrorists. I mean, they were in fact considered as a banned outfit.
We have just 2-3 minutes left. My last question is to General Dhruv Katoch, sir. Sir, about this flight from Srinagar to Sharjah and back. If it takes 45 minutes more, so be it. 45 minutes is not such a big deal, sir. That's all right. Also, my view is this, and I'd like you to please comment on my view. My view is that, just to pass a point, the Indian government should have flights at least to 3-4 countries. For example, Indonesia is a Muslim country. Have a flight from Srinagar to Jakarta. It does not have to fly over Pakistan. Have a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Srinagar. It does not need to fly over Pakistan. You can fly to half a dozen countries. Does not need to fly over Pakistan. And the flights that go to the Middle East, that would ideally have to go over Pakistan. We can subsidize. Say that we will not charge you more. You'll just have to sit in the plane for 45 minutes longer. That's it. That's all. You don't have to pay more. Let's say if the flight cost 20,000 rupees, sir, you pay 20,000. You're not going to pay 30 or 35. You just sit in the flight for a little while longer. And India should take that firm stand. So what do you say?
You see, no, I totally agree with you. As far as the flights are concerned, we can have the flights to Sharjah subsidized from Srinagar. The government can take that much of a hit. It is not too much. But when we are looking at direct flights onto the ASEAN countries like Indonesia and Malaysia, Indonesia and Malaysia, they may be Muslim countries, but they're not radicalized Muslim countries. There's a complete difference. They are very open societies. And it is a pleasure actually to go to either Indonesia or Malaysia and see the way they live. I really won't see that as a comparison of the requirement of sending flights from Srinagar to Indonesia directly. If there is a requirement and if people wish to go, adequate number of people are there, by most means certainly do that. But on your other point, I'm totally in agreement. The Sharjah flight must continue regardless of the cost, regardless of the number of people who wish to go. It is important for us. And they will go via Gujarat. It takes 45 minutes extra. The cost, well, 1,000 rupees per passenger. I think we can bear that cost. It doesn't really matter. And I feel we should go with it. And that will convey a much larger political message than anything else.
Right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, General Dhruv Katoch. Thank you very much, Faisal Rahman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the episode. We've had a lovely discussion between General Katoch and Faisal Rahman. The fact of the matter is that the flight from Srinagar to Sharjah and other countries must continue. If passengers have to fly 45 minutes extra, that's all right. We must subsidize. More than the number of passengers in the flight, I think what really matters is the statement that India is giving out, a very strong political and diplomatic message that we do not need Pakistan. Thank you for joining us. I'll be back again next week with another set of guests. Till then, from my team in the studios and I, Jai Hind.